In the year 1167, the moon vanished from the Persian night sky, and so did everyone's dreams. For 3 nights, an uneasy silence settled over the kingdom. No nightmares, no visions, nothing. But in the heart of the city, a young scribe began to dream, and what he saw would decide whether his people lived or vanished into the sand forever. Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into a story that begins under a sky you won't quite recognize. Above you, there's no gentle silver light, no pale guardian tracing its path through the clouds. Only a stretch of black so complete it feels like someone snuffed out the heavens with a single breath. You're in the heart of a Persian capital in the 12th century, when oil lamps cast gold puddles on cobblestones, and the smell of saffron and cardamom still lingers from the evening market. But the air is different tonight, tense, expectant, because the moon, that constant, silent witness, is gone. And you probably won't survive this. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you do, drop your location and local time in the comments. I'm curious who else is wandering these moonless streets with me. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The night begins warm, with the kind of dry desert breeze that rustles silk awnings and makes the scent of baked earth rise into your nose. You've walked this path before, past the square where scholars argue in the daytime, past the hammam where the gossip drips as freely as the steam. But tonight, every step feels wrong. The torches burn low. Cats slink from shadow to shadow, like they're keeping secrets. Above you, the sky is naked. It's not just that you can't see the moon. It's that the stars themselves look nervous, dimming at their edges as though they too feel watched. In a city that thrives under night's cool guidance, the absence is like a missing heartbeat. People notice. They always notice. Somewhere behind you, an old man mutters in Farsi about the night of the black sky, something his grandfather swore was an omen. A woman clutches her child tighter, the way you might pull a blanket closer when a draft hits in the middle of the night. And a merchant, the one who always claims his spices are blessed by prophets, has quietly shuttered his stall before the moon's curfew, even though there is no moon to honor. Historically, lunar eclipses were not uncommon in this era. Astronomers in Persia had charted them for centuries, even predicted them with remarkable accuracy using instruments like the astrolabe. But what you're seeing isn't an eclipse. No copper-red disk hangs in the void. There is only absence, pure and cold. Historians still argue whether certain records from the 12th century describe real astronomical phenomena, or the kind of embellishment storytellers add to turn a night into a legend. You pause at the edge of the bazaar. Normally, the fountain here babbles happily, its marble basin catching moonlight like a bowl of milk. Tonight, it's just a dark mirror, and when you lean over it, your face looks strange, like it's not quite your own. That's when you hear the first whisper. Not in your ear, nothing so obvious. It's more like a thought you didn't think yourself. 3 nights. The words are gone as soon as they arrive, like the memory of a dream that dissolves the moment you open your eyes. You glance around. No one is looking at you. The call to prayer doesn't come. Maybe the muezzin is waiting for some sign, or maybe his voice has been swallowed by the same thing that took the moon. You don't feel tired, but you can already sense that when you do sleep tonight, something will be different. Then another flicker. A shadow on the far side of the square moves against the wind. You can't tell if it's human, animal, or something in between. It lingers, just long enough for you to notice it's standing where the moon's reflection would usually lie on the stones. And then it's gone, leaving behind a faint scent you can't place, like rain hitting dry dust, even though it hasn't rained here in weeks. The night stretches onward. No stars fall, no clouds drift in to comfort the city. You walk home, the narrow alleys now whispering in ways that make you wonder if the city itself is breathing. Somewhere far off, a dog howls, then cuts itself short, as if remembering it's not supposed to draw attention tonight. By the time you close your door, sliding the bolt home with a dull thud, you feel something has shifted. Not in the world outside, but in you. Your pulse beats in your ears like a distant drum. The quiet has weight now, a heavy blanket pressing against your ribs. And as you step toward your bed, you catch yourself glancing at the window, not for the light of the moon, but for the darkness that has taken its place. You wake before dawn, though you don't remember falling asleep. The silence hasn't lifted. It's thicker now, as though the air has been steeped overnight in fear. Out on the street, the city feels like a play that's lost its cue. Shopkeepers open their stalls late, their eyes darting upward only to find the same black expanse overhead. The absence of the moon is no longer just a curiosity. It's a threat no one wants to name. You wander toward the main square, where the scent of yesterday's spices has soured in the warm air. A group of scholars is gathered near the madrasa, their robes ruffled by an impatient wind. You catch pieces of their conversation, references to lunar cycles, calculations scratched into wax tablets, muttered invocations to God. One man insists it's a natural event. Another claims it's the work of jinn. And a third, thin with a beard streaked in white, whispers that the moon is a mirror, and something has turned it away from the earth. Historians still argue whether such beliefs were purely metaphorical, or whether some truly saw the moon as a living, reactive presence. The city's rhythm is offbeat. The muezzin's call to prayer comes late, his voice cracking on the first verse. In the marketplace, bargaining happens in hushed tones, as though speaking too loudly might draw the wrong kind of attention. You pass a fruit seller who pushes a basket of figs toward you without naming a price, his eyes fixed on the sky as though daring it to change. Rumors travel faster than the wind here. You overhear a group of women at the well sharing the latest. A shepherd in the foothills claims his entire flock lay down at once, as though asleep, and refuse to rise until sunrise. A baker swears the bread in his oven baked unevenly, one half golden, the other pale as bone. Someone mentions a night centuries ago when the moon vanished and famine followed. But there's a quieter change too, the kind you notice in faces. People smile less, linger indoors more, and avoid being alone after sunset. Even the stray cats, the ones that usually perch on rooftop ledges, stay low to the ground. You swear one follows you for several streets, tail twitching, eyes unblinking, until you turn a corner and it vanishes without a sound. By midday, the heat is oppressive. You duck into the shade of a narrow alley where a spice merchant's storeroom door hangs ajar. Inside, the air is thick with cardamom, cinnamon, and dust. An old man sits cross-legged on a sack of lentils, polishing what looks like an astrolabe. He doesn't glance up when he speaks. They'll tell you it's just the moon, he says, but the moon doesn't leave without taking something with it. You ask what he means, but he only smiles without teeth and gestures toward the door. Better to keep your eyes on the ground until it comes back. Outside, the city seems to pulse with an unspoken question. What if it doesn't come back? It's a question no one dares voice, but you can feel it in the way mothers clutch their children tighter and soldiers patrol with their hands closer to their swords. The afternoon passes in fragments, snippets of overheard debates, the smell of bread baking slower than usual, the sound of a lute player whose strings are just slightly out of tune. The sun sets as though nothing is wrong, smearing the horizon in orange and pink. But when night falls again, it does so abruptly. The moment the last ember of daylight disappears, the blackness swallows everything. You're in the square again when it happens. One moment, there's a faint afterglow of sunset. The next, the city is plunged into a darkness so complete it feels tangible. People around you freeze. Someone drops a clay jar, and the shatter echoes far too loudly. This time, no one even bothers to light the torches. It's as though they've collectively decided not to fight the night. The air has that scent again, rain on dry earth, though the sky holds no clouds. And for the briefest moment, you feel something brush past your shoulder. Not a person, not an animal, something colder. You don't chase it. You just keep walking, pretending you didn't notice, pretending you're still just another sleepless body moving through a moonless city. But deep down, you know you're already tangled in something you can't name. You don't mean to become the city's unofficial sleep correspondent, but by the second night you're collecting answers like a census taker. Everywhere you go, you ask the same casual question, as if discussing apricots. Did you dream? The answers come back empty. The baker who usually narrates heroic bread adventures. Nothing. The bath attendant who swears he can interpret dreams from steam. Nothing. Even the poet, who can usually find metaphors in a bowl of lentils, just shrugs and says his night was a blank page. You nod, sympathetic, and you lie. You say your sleep was empty too, because how would you even explain what you saw? It wasn't a fading dream. It was a place. A wind scouring your cheeks, sand hissing underfoot. An archway half swallowed by a dune, its gold script flickering in starlight. You woke with grit in your eyes and the taste of dust in your mouth. That's not normal dream behavior. By daylight, the city pretends to settle back into routine. Shop shutters bang open. Kids play in the alleys, but quieter than before. Even the cats that normally perch like rooftop judges stay low to the ground. One tabby follows you for several streets, tail twitching, eyes fixed as if you owe it money. Rumors start pooling into one story. The moon is gone, and so are dreams. In the marketplace, a woman at the well whispers about a mountain village where this once happened, and the goats forgot the paths to their pastures. A knife seller swears an iron blade under the pillow will stop Jinn from stealing the pictures from your mind. That night you promise yourself you won't sleep. You last until the torches gutter, and then, somewhere between pacing and a yawn, you're there again, standing under a moonless sky, the buried city ahead, waiting for you to cross its threshold. The moment the dream takes you, you're already mid-stride. No doorway, no threshold, just a step into that impossible desert light where shadows barely cling to their owners. You know the place now, the vast plain of dunes, their ridges combed into perfect symmetry by a wind you can't feel. The buried city lies ahead, its tallest spire like a crooked tooth breaking through sand gums. You don't waste time testing reality. The air tastes the same, dry, faintly metallic, with that undercurrent of fennel and stone, and the ground sighs beneath your sandals just as before. It's the details that are sharper tonight. The curve of a dome half submerged, the way the gold script on the arch flares faintly every time you look away, as if shy of direct attention. You approach the arch again. The script has shifted, not changed letters exactly, but rearranged itself, like it's decided to introduce a new chapter. Historians still argue whether certain medieval tales of living script were allegory for oral storytelling, or whether scribes truly believed words could breathe and shift. Either way, you're watching it happen in front of you, and it's unsettling. You reach out, fingertips hovering just shy of the warmth you remember. Before you can touch it, a ripple passes through the sand at your feet, like something swimming underneath. It circles once, twice, then disappears toward the dunes. You half expect a serpent, but nothing breaks the surface. The sound it makes is low, rhythmic, almost like the huss of the breathing desert. This time you step under the arch. The warmth turns into a pulse, not in your skin, but in the air around you, a faint vibration that makes your ears buzz. Beyond the threshold lies a narrow street, its paving stones uneven but surprisingly intact. On either side rise buildings of pale stone, some with their upper stories collapsed, others still holding balconies lined with weathered latticework. A fragment of turquoise tile clings stubbornly to one wall, catching the dreamlight like a trapped droplet of sea. You walk slowly, noting how the silence here feels different from the silence in your city. At home, the quiet was heavy, suppressive. Here, it's light, like everything is holding its breath but not in fear, more like anticipation. Somewhere above, a cloth banner stirs. There's no wind, yet it moves, revealing more of that strange script. You turn a corner and nearly collide with it. A tower, its base buried but its upper levels intact, tapering toward a rounded top where a faint glow leaks from narrow slits. The glow isn't steady. It pulses gently, like a firefly trapped in glass. You think of the lighthouse in Alexandria, of how its light guided ships even through storms. Mainstream fact: the Persians had watchtowers and beacons along their borders centuries ago, using fire and mirrors to signal across distances. This one feels older, stranger. You step closer, and the glow inside intensifies, spilling down the wall in thin ribbons. They're not beams. They're more like threads, weaving patterns across the tower's surface. As you watch, one thread detaches, drifts lazily in the air, and brushes against your arm. The sensation is electric and cold at once. You stagger back. The thread floats away, dissolving before it hits the ground. That's when you hear it. A voice, low and clear, speaking in a language that sounds half familiar, like overhearing a conversation through a wall. You turn, but the street is empty. The voice says a word, short, sharp, and you realize it's the same syllable your mouth almost formed last time at the gate. The air feels heavier now. You follow the sound. It leads you to a courtyard with a dry fountain at its center. The basin is cracked, the carved fish along its rim chipped, but the stonework is intricate. You kneel, tracing one pattern, a crescent moon cradled in what looks like a hand. Another fringe tidbit from the waking world slides into your mind. Some medieval Persian poets described the moon as a pearl carried in the palm of the sky's hand. You wonder if this place is a poem turned solid. The voice returns, softer, urging. You step into the fountain basin and press your palm to the center. Heat blooms under your skin, followed by a slow, pulling sensation, like water retreating down a drain. The cracks in the stone glow faintly, then flare. Around you, the courtyard shifts. Walls rise straighter. Tiles regain their color. The air grows warmer. It's not restoration, it's memory, playing over reality like a ghost film. You see figures, robed, veiled, their faces hidden, moving through the streets, carrying baskets, speaking in the same language as the voice. One figure stops, turns directly toward you, and though you can't see a face, you feel the weight of their gaze. They raise a hand. The moment their palm faces you, the vision shatters. The courtyard returns to its ruin. The glow fades. You're alone again. You back out of the fountain, heart pounding. This isn't just dream logic anymore. It's interaction. Something here knows you're here, and judging by the warmth still in your palm, it might want you to come back. The thought follows you as you retrace your steps toward the arch. The breathing sound of the desert is louder now, almost in sync with your own breath. Just before you step through, you glance back at the tower. The glow is dimmer, but still there, like a lighthouse that's marked your presence. You wake with your hands still warm, the blanket tangled around your legs. Outside, dawn is only a thin line of light, and for the first time since the moon vanished, you feel less like a passive observer and more like someone holding a key, one you're not sure you want to use. Morning is a pale, hesitant thing in the city now. Even the sun seems to step out carefully, as if it knows it's treading on someone else's territory. You join the slow tide of bodies moving toward the bazaar, more out of habit than purpose. Sleep clings to you, not the kind that makes you sluggish, but the kind that hums in the back of your skull, as if a part of you never came all the way back. The market has shrunk, not physically, but in spirit. Stalls that once spilled with pomegranates, copperware, and bright silks now keep their wares tucked close. The voices here are quiet, clipped. Still, rumor has a way of finding its volume. By the time you pass the spice merchants, you've heard 3 versions of the same story. Someone saw strange lights in the desert, flickering like stars fallen to earth. A caravan guard swears he saw a tower that wasn't on any map. Another man, breath reeking of fermented dates, claims he woke with sand in his mouth despite sleeping indoors. You keep your expression neutral. Then you hear the whispers. Not supernatural ones, market whispers. The kind that carry just far enough for you to notice they're about you. The first comes from a pair of cloth sellers. The scribe? Yes, him. The one still dreaming. You're sure? My cousin's wife said so. He looks different. You know the look. The second is from a fruit vendor who thinks you're out of earshot. If he knows something, the palace will want to know it. You don't linger. You duck into the lane where the jewelers work, the air sharp with metal filings. That's where you see him. A man in a layered robe of deep green, his turban wound with a gold thread that catches the light like a net catching fish. His posture is that of someone used to being listened to. The vizier. You've seen him only from a distance before, always flanked by guards like parentheses. Today, he's here in the market, speaking in a low tone to a merchant, his eyes scanning the crowd. When they land on you, it's not casual. It's a ledger entry. You try to turn away, but one of his attendants is already at your side, hand light on your arm. "You will come," he says simply. It's not a request. They lead you through the city's winding streets, past the baths, the perfumers, the quieter residential lanes where curtains twitch as you pass. At the palace gates, the guards nod you through. Inside, the air smells of jasmine and parchment, a combination that somehow feels more dangerous than blood. The vizier is waiting in a chamber lined with carved wooden screens, light filtering through in geometric lattices. He gestures for you to sit on a low cushion across from him. His eyes are dark, sharp, and unblinking. "They say you still dream," he begins. His voice is smooth, but not kind. You try to deflect, mentioning that dreams come and go, that perhaps you just remember them more than others. He waves this away like a fly. "No, I have spoken to physicians, to mystics, even to those who claim to walk the worlds between. When the moon is gone, no dreams are meant to pass. And yet you, a simple scribe, wander in sleep." You hesitate. If you lie, he'll know. If you tell the truth, you're handing him a weapon. So you give him the middle path. "I see a place, I don't know where it is, a city buried in sand." At that, something flickers in his eyes. Interest, recognition. He leans forward. "Describe it." You do the arch with shifting script, the tower with the pulsing light, the courtyard fountain carved with a moon in a hand. You leave out the warmth in the stone, the voice that spoke to you. Those feel personal. When you finish, the vizier sits back, steepling his fingers. "Historians still argue whether the city of Kalat al-Sahra ever existed," he says. "Some call it a legend, a metaphor for power lost to time. Others claim it lies buried beyond the dunes, where no caravan dares travel. It was said to hold a relic that could command rain or call famine. And you, dreamer, have walked its streets." You start to protest, but he raises a hand. "If this drought continues, our people will suffer. If what you see is real, then you may be the only path to saving the kingdom." His voice softens just enough to sound like an offer, not an order. "Will you guide us?" You don't answer immediately. The idea of turning your dream path into a map feels wrong, dangerous. But the thought of the riverbed drying further, of the fountains coughing nothing but dust, tilts the balance. "Yes," you hear yourself say. The vizier's smile is thin but satisfied. He claps his hands, and an attendant appears with a rolled map, yellowed at the edges. "Tomorrow you will join a caravan. You will tell us when the landmarks match your visions. You will lead us to the gate." There's no discussion about whether you want to go. When you leave the palace, the sun is low, turning the city's walls to molten gold. The people in the streets don't know yet that you've agreed to walk into the desert. The cats don't know. The moon, wherever it is, probably does. And as the sky deepens toward night, you wonder if it will show you something new in your sleep, now that it knows you've said yes. The vizier does not waste time. At first light, you are summoned to the palace courtyard, where the caravan waits like a coiled serpent. 20 camels, each kneeling patiently, their sides shifting with slow breaths. Men in desert robes move about with quiet efficiency, loading bundles of water skins, sacks of dates, bolts of cloth. and the rolled tents that will become your shelter. The smell of leather, animal sweat, and cumin hangs in the air. The vizier stands apart, surrounded by a few guards whose armor catches the sun. He looks at you the way a chess player looks at a piece they've decided will be sacrificed, but must still be moved into place. "You will walk beside the lead camel," he says, handing you a staff. It's carved with interlocking patterns that catch the light in a way that makes your eyes follow them too long. When you see something from your visions, you tell me. The air is cool as you leave the city gates, but already you can feel the sun pressing its intent against the horizon. Behind you, the city's minarets shrink into the haze. Ahead lies the desert, an expanse of pale gold, broken only by the occasional rocky outcrop. The first day's march is quiet. The rhythmic sway of the camels and the crunch of sand underfoot become a kind of hypnotic beat. At midday, you pass a cluster of low ruins, crumbled walls, half-buried pottery. One of the guards murmurs that this was once a watch post along the caravan route to Khorasan. Mainstream fact: the Silk Road, in all its branches, was not a single path, but a web of trade routes, and Persia sat at a crucial crossroads. Even in this emptiness, goods and stories once flowed like water. But now there is no water. By late afternoon, the air tastes metallic, and your lips stick together when you close your mouth. The vizier rides ahead, scanning the horizon like he expects the sand to part and reveal the city on command. That night, the camp forms a tight circle, tents pitched close. Fires are small, their light smothered by the surrounding dark. You lie awake on your mat, staring at the gap between two tent flaps where the sky should hold stars. Some are there, but their arrangement feels wrong, like someone's nudged the constellations when no one was looking. You remember the scholar's words about the moon being a mirror. If it's turned away, maybe it's reflecting something else now, something you're not supposed to see. Eventually, the camp quiets. A guard's soft cough, a camel's grunt, the hiss of wind across the sand. Sleep doesn't feel like falling. It feels like the sand beneath your mat opens and you sink straight down. You're standing again in that same impossible light, the buried city ahead. But tonight, the distance between you and the gate is shorter, as though the dream itself is helping you close in. You move forward with purpose, passing familiar markers, the broken dome, the half-buried tower, the turquoise tile glinting on the wall. This time the arch's script is brighter, clearer. The letters ripple like water, and you find yourself mouthing the shapes, though no sound comes. The warmth from the stone seeps into your hands, traveling up your arms until your whole chest feels lit from within. You step through. The city is more awake tonight. Faint lanterns glow in windows. Shadows move in the alleys. You can't see faces, but you feel watched, not with hostility, but with a kind of wary curiosity. You find your way back to the courtyard with the fountain. The cracks in its basin no longer look random. They form lines, intersecting in a pattern you almost recognize. That's when you hear it again. The voice. It's closer now, and the syllables come with more weight. You understand fragments, not words exactly, but meanings. Thirst, keeper, threshold. Your pulse matches the slow rhythm of the breathing desert. From the corner of your eye, you catch movement. A figure at the edge of the courtyard, still as a carving. They lift one arm, palm outward. The gesture feels like both greeting and warning. You take a step toward them, but the ground shifts under your feet, pulling you back. The sand swirls, the buildings blur, and the voice says one last thing, soft but sharp, like a note plucked on a lute string. You wake with your hand pressed to your chest, skin warm over a steady heartbeat. Outside the tent, the desert is still dark. You can hear the soft clinking of camel harnesses and the mutter of a guard on watch. You lie back, staring at the tent's fabric ceiling, wondering if you'll be able to keep the pace tomorrow, or if the desert itself will quicken it for you. The second day begins with a red sunrise bleeding into the sand. The air is cool, but you can already see heat shimmer forming along the horizon, like a mirage warming up for its performance. The caravan moves in a slow, deliberate rhythm, camels swaying, bells clinking, sandals scuffing against grit. The vizier rides near the front again, eyes fixed forward, as if he can will your destination into existence. You try not to dwell on the dream, but every detail clings to you like burrs. The lantern glow in the city's windows. The deliberate pattern in the fountain cracks. The palm raised in greeting or warning. You keep glancing at the dunes as if expecting that figure to appear here in the waking world. By midday, the sand changes. It's subtler than you expect. Just a shift in tone from pale gold to a deeper, almost copper shade. One of the older camel drivers notices too, spitting into the wind and muttering that these are the thirsty sands. Fringe tidbit. Desert lore says certain stretches of dunes drink moisture from the air, and even from living things, leaving travelers parched faster than normal. You drink from your water skin anyway, because skepticism is admirable, but dehydration kills faster than curiosity. The vizier calls for a halt in the shadow of a lone rock formation. While the others rest, he kneels beside you, unrolling the old map. His finger traces faint lines and clusters of dots. Do you recognize anything yet? You hesitate, scanning the horizon. There's a low ridge in the distance that almost matches one in your vision. Maybe, you say. If we keep going, I think I'll know for sure. His expression is unreadable, but you catch the slight tightening at the corners of his mouth, a mix of anticipation and suspicion. He rolls up the map without another word. The march resumes. The air grows heavier, like you're walking through invisible cloth. You pass a line of cracked stones jutting from the sand, too regular to be natural. One of the guards taps his spear against them and remarks they might be the remains of a road. Mainstream fact. Sections of ancient trade roads in desert regions were sometimes marked with stone lines or buried paving to help caravans navigate shifting dunes. As dusk approaches, you spot something faint in the far distance. A dark line against the sand, vertical rather than horizontal. You blink and it's gone, or hidden by the curvature of a dune. You decide not to mention it until you're certain. Camp that night feels different. The guards post more lookouts than before. The vizier spends a long time in quiet conversation with his closest men, glancing toward you more than once. The air smells of roasting meat and tension. When you finally lie down, you half expect sleep to resist you. Instead, it pulls you in like a tide. You're back in the desert, but much closer to the city now. The arch rises ahead, luminous, script dancing like firelight. As you step through, the air inside feels denser, almost viscous. The streets hum, not with voices, but with a low vibration you can feel in your teeth. The tower is brighter tonight. The threads of light that escaped it before now drift more freely, weaving across the street like lazy fireflies. One brushes your cheek, leaving a cool trail. You follow them toward the fountain, where the cracks glow faintly again. The raised palm figure stands closer this time, tall, robed in something that shifts color with the angle of your gaze. You still can't see a face, but the presence is stronger, like a scent or a remembered melody. The voice comes again, clearer, urgent. You understand more now. 3 nights gone. Gate. Open only once. The words hit like stones dropped into water, sending ripples through your mind. You step forward, but the figure tilts its head slightly, as if to say, "Not yet." Then the ground trembles. Not violently, but enough to send a shiver through the fountain's waterless basin. The dream begins to fade. You try to hold on to it, gripping the image of the tower, the script, the raised palm. But the city pulls away, or maybe you're the one retreating. You wake just before dawn, heart pounding. Outside, the sky is still dark, but the eastern horizon holds a faint glow, not of the sun, but something softer, almost silver. And for a moment, you wonder if the moon is on its way back, or if it's just watching to see what you'll do next. By the 3rd day, the caravan is moving through sand so fine it flows like water around your ankles. Every step is a small surrender. You give the ground your weight, and it keeps a little of it for itself. The air is dry enough that your lips crack when you smile, which you do only once that morning, when one of the younger camel drivers tries to hum a tune but keeps losing his place mid-melody. The vizier rides closer today, scanning your face as often as he scans the horizon. He asks again if you've recognized anything from your dreams. You point toward a line of low, wind-smoothed ridges in the distance. "There," you say. "The shape matches." He studies it for a long moment, then signals for the caravan to angle its path toward the ridges. By noon, you've reached them. The dunes part just enough to reveal a shallow valley littered with half-buried stones. Worked stones, with edges too precise to be natural. One slab lies at an angle, carved with faint symbols that the sand hasn't fully eroded. Historians still argue whether such markings in desert ruins are evidence of lost cities, or simply caravan waypoints, dressed up by centuries of legend. But as you kneel and brush away the sand, you recognize the curves in the carving. They're cousins to the script on the dream arch. The vizier dismounts to look for himself. His fingers hover over the stone without touching it. "We are close," he murmurs, almost to himself. Then the wind shifts. A current of air whips down the valley, carrying with it a thin, dry hiss, too steady to be the wind alone. It's coming from ahead, beyond a mound of sand at the valley's far end. The camels grow restless, shifting and grumbling. The older drivers cross themselves or mutter quiet prayers. You crest the mound with the vizier at your side. And there it is. The sand has collapsed away from a structure, an arch, not unlike the one in your dream, though here it's half swallowed by the earth. The stone is pale, cracked in places, and the script carved into it is worn but still visible. Even in the harsh daylight, it seems to shimmer faintly. You feel a pull in your chest, a recognition that bypasses thought. The vizier studies it, then glances at you. "This is it?" "Yes," you say, "or the shadow of it." Mainstream fact. Desert archaeology often finds ancient gates or walls preserved where sand has buried them for centuries, protecting them from weather. This one feels older than anything you've seen before. The vizier orders the men to set camp nearby, but not too close to the arch. As the sun begins to set, the stone takes on a strange glow, not bright, but aware. That night, you sleep facing the arch. You're through it before you even realize you've crossed over. The dream city greets you like a place you've lived in before. Every corner both strange and familiar. The streets are brighter tonight, more details revealing themselves. Mosaics on walls, traces of paint on columns, the glint of something metallic in a shadowed alley. The fountain is no longer dry. It's filled with that strange, light-bending water you saw in the dunes. Threads of silver drift in its depths, curling upward like smoke in reverse. The raised palm figure stands on the opposite side. This time you can see the faint outline of a face. Not features, but a presence. Like heat haze shaped into human form. The voice is clear now. Threshold, keeper, choice, soon. The words resonate not just in your ears, but in your bones. You try to ask what the choice will be, but the figure only turns slightly, gesturing toward the tower. You follow. The streets feel narrower than before. The buildings leaning in like curious onlookers. The tower's glow pulses faster tonight. Threads of light streaming outward in greater numbers. Some drift past you. Others wrap briefly around your wrists before dissolving. Each touch leaves behind a faint, cooling sensation, as if the tower is testing you. When you reach its base, you see a door. Not just an opening in the stone, an actual door, made of something dark and smooth, set with a single round plate at its center. The script from the arch runs around the plate in an unbroken ring. You lift your hand to touch it, but before your fingers make contact, the ground trembles. The glow dims, and the voice speaks again, sharper this time. Not yet. The dream fades with the image of the door lingering in your mind, like an afterimage burned into your vision. You wake before dawn, the real arch looming outside your tent. The vizier is already awake, staring at it, as though waiting for it to breathe. The fourth day in the desert is different. It's not just the air, though it's heavier, as if some invisible curtain is hanging between you and the horizon. It's the way the men move. Quieter, more deliberate. The vizier speaks less, and when he does, it's to give orders in a voice pitched low, like sound itself might wake something. The arch stands watch over camp as you set off again, its weathered stones catching the first light. You glance back once before the dunes hide it from view, and you get the strange impression it's taller than when you first saw it. The day's march takes you deeper into a region of shifting hills. The wind sculpts them into shapes, some like waves, others like the ribs of long-dead giants. Mid-morning, you come across a hollow where the sand has been swept aside, revealing the top of a stone stair descending into darkness. The steps are narrow, edges sharp enough to cut the soles of your sandals. One of the guards peers down and mutters about sand cellars, the kind traders sometimes use to store goods away from the heat. Mainstream fact. Certain ancient desert communities built underground chambers to preserve food and water, insulated by the earth. But these stairs feel older, carved with an intent that wasn't about storage. The vizier orders torches lit. You follow the flickering light down, the air cooling with each step. The walls here bear the same script as the arch, though these characters are deeper, sharper, like they were carved yesterday. You trace one with your fingertips. The stone is warm. At the base of the stairs lies a chamber, low-ceilinged and circular. In the center is a pedestal of black stone, smooth as glass. On it rests a bowl filled with sand so fine it looks like smoke solidified. Threads of silver glimmer faintly within it, curling and uncurling like living things. The vizier approaches, hands clasped behind his back. "What is it?" He asks you, as if you might know. You don't answer right away. Something in you recognizes it, though. Not from the waking world, but from the dream city's fountain. You step closer, and the air seems to shift, becoming thicker, almost sweet. A fringe tidbit you once heard from a wandering storyteller surfaces. That in certain hidden places, moon sand falls when the moon sheds pieces of itself, carrying memories of places it has watched. You'd always thought that it was just a fireside tale. The vizier's voice cuts through your thoughts. Take a handful. You hesitate. In the dream, the fountain water had been untouchable, dangerous. But this is not water. You extend your hand slowly, letting your fingers sink into the fine grains. They're cool but not cold, soft in a way sand should never be. The silver threads coil around your skin, pulsing faintly, and for an instant the chamber blurs. You're standing in the dream city again. No transition, no warning, just there. The arch towers behind you. The fountain gurgles quietly ahead. The raised palm figure stands beside it, closer than ever. You can see more of the face now, still indistinct, but lit from within, like embers behind a veil. The voice is no longer echoing in your mind. It's right in front of you. "This is the heart," it says. "Keep it whole, or all will thirst." You look down. In your hands is the same silver-threaded sand, glimmering in the dreamlight. When you blink, you're back in the chamber. The vizier's eyes are locked on your hand. "Well?" You shake your head. "It's nothing." The lie tastes dry, but you're not ready to hand him the heart of whatever this is. He studies you for a moment, then turns to his men. We move on. That night, the camp is pitched beside a dune so tall it blots out half the stars. You lie awake feeling the silver threads still curled somewhere deep in your palm, though they're long gone to the eye. Sleep comes late. And when it does, you wonder if the dream city will still be there, or if the vizier's presence in the desert is already changing it. The next morning, the air feels brittle, like it might crack if you speak too loudly. The caravan moves more slowly now, not because the camels are tired, but because everyone seems to sense you're on the edge of something. The vizier rides ahead, shoulders squared, as if he's preparing to meet an adversary he's only read about in court records. By midday, the dunes thin out, revealing a stretch of hard-packed earth. It's easier to walk on, but the silence here is deeper, almost viscous. The wind has died. Even the usual creak of leather harnesses and soft thud of camel feet feels muffled. Then you see it. At first, it's just a shimmer, heat haze, you think. But as you get closer, the shape resolves. The top of a wall, then the curve of a collapsed dome, and finally, the arch itself. This is no ruin scattered in fragments. This is a gate. Not whole. Time and sand have chewed at it, but intact enough to feel like it could still be used. And beyond it, half veiled in a low curtain of dust, are the jagged silhouettes of towers and walls. The vizier dismounts without a word. His eyes are fixed on the gate like it's the answer to a riddle he's been gnawing for years. You approach slowly. The script on the arch pulses faintly in the daylight. Nothing obvious. just a shimmer at the corner of your vision. As you get closer, warmth spills from the stone into the air. It's the same warmth you've felt in dreams, but heavier now, more urgent. "Through here," the vizier says. It's not a question. The guards hang back. One mutters about Jinn gates, another about the old curse of Kalat al-Sahra, the city that drinks rivers and spits out bones. Historians still argue whether Kalat al-Sahra was ever real, or whether it was a cautionary tale told by traders to scare apprentices into respecting the desert. Standing here, the debate feels pointless. You step under the arch. The air changes instantly, cooler, denser, with a faint metallic tang, like rain on bronze. Ahead, the sand dips into a wide avenue lined with the skeletal remains of buildings. Their windows are black hollows, but as you walk, you catch flashes in your periphery. Lanterns, movement, the hint of a figure turning away. The vizier follows, silent but watchful. His men stay outside. You lead him to the fountain. It's exactly as in your dreams. Dry, cracked, the carving of a moon in a hand at its center. The vizier circles it slowly, fingertips brushing the stone. "So it's true," he murmurs. You want to tell him about the silver water that sometimes fills it, about the figure who's been guiding you. But something stops you. Instinct, maybe, or the memory of the warning. Choice soon. The vizier looks at you. "Where is it?" You play dumb. "Where is what?" "The source," he says. "The heart that controls this place." You hesitate, and in that pause, something happens. The air thickens. The ground hums. The script on the fountain's rim glows faintly, and from the corner of your eye, you see the raised palm figure standing in the shadow of a nearby archway. The vizier doesn't see it. His eyes are locked on you. "Show me," he says. His tone is low, almost gentle, but there's steel underneath. You glance at the figure. It doesn't move, doesn't speak, but you understand. Whichever choice you make here will decide not just the vizier's fate, but the city's, and maybe your own. Your mouth is dry. Your heart feels too big for your ribs. The silence stretches until it's almost unbearable. And then, the ground shivers. Not like before. This is sharper, angrier. Dust sifts from the ruined walls. Somewhere deeper in the city, a sound rises. Not wind, not water, but something between the two. The vizier takes a step toward you. Now, you take a breath. Whatever you do next will be the point you can't walk back from. You don't remember deciding to move, but your legs carry you, past the fountain, past the shadow where the raised palm figure waits, toward the narrow street that leads deeper into the buried city. The vizier follows, his boots grinding against stone dust. He doesn't speak now. He's conserving his breath for whatever lies ahead. The street twists between leaning buildings whose upper floors nearly touch, shutting out most of the daylight. In the dimness, the glow from the tower is unmistakable. It pulses like a slow heartbeat, threads of silver light drifting lazily from its upper windows. You stop at its base. The smooth black door is here, just as in your dreams. The round plate in the center glimmers faintly, and the script running around it ripples like it's underwater. The air hums softly in your ears. The vizier steps forward, running a hand over the stone. "This is it," he says. His voice is almost reverent. "The heart of the city." You feel the silver-threaded sand in your memory, the weight of the figure's warning. Keep it whole, or all will thirst. The vizier glances at you. Open it. You hesitate. "I don't know how." "Yes, you do," he says. "You've been here before, in your sleep. The city knows you. It will open for you." You place your palm on the plate. The warmth surges instantly, climbing your arm, wrapping around your chest. The script flares bright, and for a moment you hear the voice, not in your head, but in the air around you. Choose. The door parts silently, swinging inward without resistance. Inside is a narrow chamber, its walls carved with the same flowing letters, all glowing faintly. At the center stands a low pedestal of black stone, and on it rests a bowl identical to the one you found underground, filled with silver-threaded sand that moves as though stirred by an unseen hand. The vizier steps inside, eyes fixed on the bowl. "With this," he says, "we can call the rains. We can feed our people. We can be more than a kingdom scraping by in drought." You think of the figure's warning again. You think of the breathing desert, the half-seen city that only lives in moonless nights. And you realize the choice isn't as simple as water or thirst. It's about who controls it. The vizier reaches for the bowl. Instinct kicks in. You step between him and the pedestal. His eyes harden. "Move," he says. The glow in the room brightens, and for the first time, you see the raised palm figure standing in the doorway behind you. The vizier doesn't react. He can't see it. The figure's voice fills the chamber. One path quenches the land but kills the dream. The other starves the land but keeps the dream alive. You understand. Taking the sand will make the rains fall, but it will break whatever link allows the city to exist in your dreams. Leaving it means the drought continues, but the city and its secrets remain untouched. The vizier's hand hovers over his sword hilt. Your hand hovers over the bowl. The air feels poised on a knife's edge. And in that suspended moment, the glow from the script spills out into the streets beyond, casting the entire buried city in silver light. You don't know if it's a warning or an invitation. You take a breath. The decision is yours. Your fingers brush the rim of the bowl. The silver-threaded sand stirs like it's alive, tiny filaments reaching for your skin. The vizier's breath catches. Impatience, greed, maybe both. Behind you, the raised palm figure stands utterly still, its presence pressing against your back like a second heartbeat. The choice hammers in your skull. Reign for the kingdom, but the dream city gone forever. Or preserve the city and let the drought tighten its grip until the land cracks. The vizier takes a step closer. "Our people are dying," he says. "You can save them." His voice is soft now, almost pleading. Don't let a phantom city in your sleep matter more than living lives. You stare into the bowl. The sand moves in patterns, spirals, crescents, lines that shift into the script you've seen on the arch. It says nothing you can read, but the shapes feel like questions, and then you see it. In the surface of the sand, a reflection not of the chamber, but of the desert outside. And beyond it, the real city. Its streets are empty, fountains bone dry, people slumped in shadow, too tired to move. The image wavers, replaced by the dream city, alive, glowing, whole. Both are possible. Neither is painless. The vizier reaches past you. Instinct roars in your chest. You cup your hands into the sand. It's colder than you expect and heavier, as though every grain carries a century. The figure speaks again. Once taken, it cannot be returned. You meet the vizier's eyes. He holds your gaze for a heartbeat, then looks down at the sand in your hands. You can feel its energy fading, like water leaking from cupped palms. And you make your choice. The moment you do, the chamber reacts. The script on the walls flares white hot. The air thickens until it hums against your eardrums, and the pedestal shudders. The vizier shouts something you can't hear. The figure steps back into shadow. Light bursts from the doorway, spilling into the buried streets. It's so bright you have to close your eyes. When you open them, the chamber is empty. The bowl is gone. The vizier is gone. The silver sand in your palms is gone. You're standing alone in the desert, outside the gate. The sun is low. The caravan is nowhere in sight. The dunes are still. You turn toward where the city should be. There's nothing but sand. No arch, no towers, no fountain. Just an unbroken horizon. For a long moment, you stand there, breathing in the dry air, wondering if you've woken or fallen deeper into a dream. Then you start walking toward the distant shimmer of the real city. Your steps slow but steady. Somewhere behind you, carried on a wind you can't feel, comes the faint sound of water. The sand crunches softly beneath your feet, each step pulling you farther from what was and closer to what is. The horizon ahead wavers in the heat, a thin line between earth and sky. Your breathing slows, matching the long, measured rhythm of your stride. The sun dips lower, spilling warm gold across the dunes. Shadows stretch and soften, their edges blurring until they look more like gentle folds in a blanket than the hard angles of a harsh land. You feel the last traces of warmth fade from your hands, the memory of the silver sand dissolving like mist. The wind begins to rise, not sharp, but tender, like someone brushing your cheek with the back of their hand. It carries the scent of the desert at dusk. Warm stone, faint dust, and something else. A trace of rain, so subtle you could almost believe you imagined it. The sky deepens into a muted indigo, and the first stars begin to appear, timid and far apart. You keep walking, your pace unhurried. The city's lights are distant now, glimmering faintly, patient in their waiting. There's no rush. The desert is wide, and the night is long. The air cools against your skin, and the sound of your footsteps grows softer, folding into the hush around you. Somewhere, whether behind you, beneath you, or only in memory, the dream city sleeps. Maybe it's waiting for you. Maybe it's gone for good. Either way, the thought no longer feels urgent. You let your eyes drift upward to the sky, where the stars are bolder now. A thin silver curve begins to form above the horizon, the moon returning at last. You smile, close your eyes, and keep walking.